Alrighty, well, it's Wednesday evening, May 6th, I believe, and I'm out solo tonight. Tom's coming out tomorrow with the crew, but I'm working at Habitat for Humanity for the next couple days, so I won't be out tomorrow. So we've got very light winds tonight, probably about 5 or 6 knots is all, so it's not ideal sailing. But it's going to give me an opportunity to set up a reef and kind of check it out in light air conditions. Tom's going to be out tomorrow, and it's expected to be quite a bit windier tomorrow. So I want to set up a reefing setup for him so he has an easy time of reefing. So I've already done a couple of things. First of all, you notice the lazy jacks are very loose. When I left today, I loosened those up so that they're not impeding the sail shape and all that. I do have the jib out. It's our old jib. Maybe it's the same size as the newer one. Looks like it's about a 130. I see some marks on there, 100, 120, and got a ways to go before you get to the furler. So I'm guessing it's maybe a 130, and maybe that's the same size as our newer one. But certainly when we get a chance, we want to put on the new one for the summertime. You can see there's just not a whole lot of wind and not hardly enough to even keep the sails full, and a little bit of chop out here, so it's bouncing around a little bit. For the reefing, a few weeks ago I installed a couple of reef hooks up on the gooseneck. And that's what we'll use to tack the front of the sail. And then in the back, I reran the single line reefing line so that it runs straight back to the back of the boom, and ran it through the first reef kringle and then tied it below the boom. I ran it inside of the new Mac pack so that it doesn't rip the Mac pack, and then on the outside here, so when it's pulled tight, it should work. So what I'm going to do in just a minute is I'm going to lower the sail, looking for the two where the reefing hooks are up on the front of the sail. I'm not sure which side the first reef is on. I'm assuming it's on the other side. Yeah, so it's... Oh, actually, it's right here. Right there. So the idea is we'll lower the sail. We'll attach it to the reef hook, which I installed. And then we'll raise the sail up to that point and then pull down on the reefing line to pull the back tight. So that's the theory about what we're going to do. Like I said, today there's really no wind hardly, so this is just to kind of get Tom set up for tomorrow. Temperature wise, it's about 60 degrees, maybe a little cooler than that here at the lake. Much warmer inland. My wife said it's 85 at home, 20 miles south of here. So anyway, that's what we're going to try to show you. Need to make my way back and make sure the autopilot's turned on, which it's not. Let me get us pointed in the right direction. The one thing we're going to have to fix soon, I think, is the previous owner kind of took a cheap way out on the wind instrumentation. So we have a nice chart plotter that goes right here, and we'll get that hooked up tomorrow. It gives us speed, distance, depth, all kinds of great information. But it doesn't have any wind instrumentation. And the previous owner bought this Tactic wireless wind instrument. The problem is it has no way to know what our boat speed is or direction or anything like that, and so all we get from it is apparent wind, and we could probably live with that. But it also means that the autopilot cannot hold a wind angle, and so we can turn it on and it'll hold a compass heading, but if the wind shifts around a little bit like it is today, it doesn't know that, and so I find that we're either rounding up or we're falling way off of the wind, and I'm constantly having to come back and repoint the boat just because the autopilot has no idea what's happening with the wind. And that would be the bigger thing, I think, is to get the wind instrumentation tied into the autopilot. So anyway, we got to figure that one out, because right now it does kind of tick me off that we can't sail to a wind angle and have the boat hold a position to the wind. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop the sail a little bit and try to set up this reef line real quick. More in just a minute. Okay, so the autopilot's set. So what I'm going to do, should be a little bit easier with two people, obviously. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lower the mainsail a bit. I don't want to go too far, but I want to bring it down a little bit. We'll see if that's enough. And then we're going to go up to the mast. And it's probably easiest if we lower or loosen these tie downs. I'm going to push the sail in. Sorry about that, it's probably jigglier than hell. And we're just going to hook the sail on that reefing hook. Okay. Remember what they say, one hand on the boat, one hand for yourself. That means I'm trying to hang on to the camera with one hand and hang on to the boat with the other. Alright, before we do anything, I just want to check and see what our wind angle is. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Alright, so then I'm going to re-raise the sail. It's really hard to see if that's tight. I think it's tight. And then this line right here, this green line, is going to be our reefing line. So when I pull on it, you can see that. It's going to pull back from the cringle back and try to tighten it. I'm going to put the camera down for just a second. Okay, I'm back. Fishermen out there zipping across the lake. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it real well, but we've got the reef in the main up in the front on the reefing hook, and we've got the reefing line for the back of the sail through the cringle from the back of the boom, sheave in the back of the boom, through the cringle, and then tied on to the bottom of the boom on a attachment point. And that sail looks pretty tight, really. I mean, that looks like it should work. So the beauty of this system, particularly if you know you're going to do it ahead of time, you can set that reefing hook before you even raise the sail, and ideally put the rear line through the cringle before you start. We could leave that reefing line attached and then just when we shake out the reef, or if we decide we don't need a reef, just let that rope pull out. And I will try that when I raise the sail back up. We've lost a lot of speed and just kind of bobbing around out here at the moment. So we just don't have enough sail area. So I'm going to go ahead and shake that out now and show you how we do that. Basically, it'll be dropping the sail just a couple inches is all, going up to the mast and undoing the reefing hook, and then come back and open up the rope clutch for this reefing line and raise the sail. And if everything runs smooth, that rope ought to just pull out of the boom, and the sail ought to go the rest of the way up. So let's try it. So first I'm just gonna ease that main a little bit. Doesn't have to be much because it was already right at the reefing hook. Make my way up to the mast. Get access again. Pull that off the hook. Back to the cabin top winch. Be very careful not to fall in. I do have my life jacket on underneath my windbreaker honey bunch, just so you know. Alright, so then I'm going to release that extra reefing line, and then I'm going to try to raise the mainsail again. And if I did everything right, it should work fine. You can see the halyards coming in, and the reefing line is playing out as the sail's being pulled back up. I'm going to put the camera down for just a second so I can tighten that halyard. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so it looks like we got the mainsail up tight. As tight as it's going to be in this crappy weather here. Barely got enough wind to keep the boom from bouncing around. You can also see that the reefing line in the back stretched out when I loosened it. So I think that's about what we wanted it to do. So that's our new reefing system. The boat was equipped with single line reefing at 2 reefing points. I just don't like single line reefing. It seems way too difficult to get, tight tension on both the front and the back of the sail evenly. We had it on the old boat, and I just never liked it. So anyway, I got to take over the steering here for a few minutes. And that's all for now.